Where's your little butt? Woo! Okay. Camera set up, that set up, this set up, that's doing the thing. Okay. We're good? I think so. Welcome to episode 357 Magnum. Here on Houston, we have a problem. 357. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. Yeah, so Citadel got busted for naked shorting, as with Virtue Capital and Knight and everyone else who does it. They were busted and sued by the SEC and paid a $7 million fine, but they're only for between, like 2005 and 2020 or something. So they didn't get them for anything post 2020. I wonder what was happening after 2020. Oh, if one of you guys know what happened after 2020, I would love to know. I just can't think of a darn thing. With Citadel Securities should probably be looked at for what they were doing after 2020. Anyway, Bed Bath & Beyond is still... they're slated to cancel their shares on the 30th. We've got 7 days for them to figure out if they're going to drop any more dockets. They dropped a whole bunch yesterday, but those were all updates as to the stores that are still operating and like what the financials are for those. So is something squirrely going to happen? I don't know. I do not know. So sit and wait. Stock price down to like 10 cents now. If Fidelity would just let me buy, I'd buy as many as I possibly could because I'm a gambler. And that's what I'm doing. Hey, fat cat, come and join us? Yeah. Come on up. Come on. You can just stay there. No, hey buddy. Come on. If you're gonna be there, you just gotta come up and say hi. That's the rule. Come on. Come on, fat boy. Come on. Oh, we can see the monkey. You need to chase the monkey off her chair. That's what he likes to do. Little tub. You little tub of cat. I'm going to gently force you off your bed. Alright. Anyway, I'm distracted by the cat action happening here. Alexander Krantz sent me a new intro I can use, and I can't get it to download, so I've been trying. It's there. It won't let me. I can see it, but I can't download it. So I'll figure out how to download that, and we'll have an intro we can throw in around there. So maybe we'll have like 5 intros playing at once when I screw up. But until then, this one. Oh wait, now. Why don't you go? Now. There we go. Oh, hello. Off. Cat's distracting me. Gotta turn it off. I'm sure there's other things happening in the world. Oh, Senator Menendez in New Jersey. He's probably going to prison. He should have gone to prison a long time ago. I don't know why. Democrats are usually pretty good at when someone is a piece of shit. They're like, we're gonna hit the bricks, buddy. But they've taken a long time with Menendez. He basically was taking bribes, and they found him with a whole bunch of gold that he was given in bribes. So he's probably going to prison. Hopefully the Democrats will boot his ass. The governor said resign. He's like, hey, you still have the chance to prove your innocence, but you hit the bricks. So, see where that goes. I guess prison. First name, last name. Hey, H-Bro, you should do a live stream instructional class for his YouTube generates. Topic can be anything beneficial to a science, finance, math, geology, etc. If you charge for the class, you get some money, we get some smarts. I mean, I guess we could do something like that. set up one of my astronomy or geology courses. Dude, Houston's not accredited science classes. Intro to everything. I like it first name, last name. Figure out time and when and where. I do have all the lectures for my astronomy courses online because I was doing those during COVID, but I was never really too happy with them for like making them public. They work for the students, but I don't know. I think I'd want flashier, bigger budget explosions and car chases and stuff. If I were to release it to the public, I'll ponder on it. It's Lydia was first. Hello. Moon was second. J-Dog says go Mariners third. It's Lydia Houston. Any news with our favorite stocks? Acme, MMTLP, BBBYQ, No Labs, etc. Can't talk about Acme. MMTLP / NextBridge. It looks like they're drilling. So we're still waiting on word for S1 as to whether they can distribute the Nuco shares to everybody. BBYQ, just talked about that. No Labs, same as last week. They're getting hammered by shorts, which makes them a screaming deal right now. And my prediction, this is all just solely my prediction. Like if I were in charge at No Labs, I would announce that I'm going to make a sale of shares because they need to sell some shares to raise some capital because they're still in development phase. And then coincide that with an announcement of, success of phase 3 trials and that FDA approval is now being applied for, blah, 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 because they get that shit, baby. It's gold. And it won't matter how many shares they sell to raise capital because it'll be worth a fortune. So that's my guess. That's what I think they're heading for. Hoshi, Houston, why is America the way it is? Like in Europe or Asia, you can walk everywhere and it seems like they care about the individual. Why, if we are the #1 country, do we struggle with the basics? Ronald Reagan. that is it. Old Ronnie and the people he surrounded him with basically eliminated the safety net, cut taxes a whole bunch on rich people so that we couldn't afford infrastructure and help others, and coincided with creating a giant prison industrial complex while eliminating mental health and cutting school programs, eliminating federal funding for schools. It was just a whole lot of shit that Ronald Reagan did in the 80s, and people still, for some reason, love him. And he is the entire reason we have the homeless population we have today. Straight up. We used to have about one mental health care bed in each state for about every 300 to 600 people. And now it's like one per several thousand. On average, about 1 in 500 people need permanent mental health care. Like they need to be in a facility because they've got psychosis so bad that they should not be out in public. And if you got really bad psychosis, you're out in public, you do not maintain a job. You do not get to maintain a home. You can't figure out how to feed yourself, clothe yourself, do things like that. You're crazy. So you need a medical intervention, whether it be through, behavioral therapies or chemical treatments, Thorazine, things like that you might need. So we cut mental health programs, and all those people ended up either on the street or prison. Is almost a direct correlation. In the 1960s, when Ronald Reagan was governor in California, California had, I can't remember the numbers exactly, in show 3 or whatever I did, when we were talking about curing homelessness, I got the numbers in there, but it was something like, California had 50,000 people in their mental health facilities, and then Ronald Reagan closed all the mental health facilities, and immediately the prison population went up by 50,000. It's like, whoa, amazing. The mentally ill, if they're not actively getting treatment, end up in prison. Weird how that happens. 55% of the homeless in San Francisco have psychosis. 55%. So more than 1 in 2. So half the homeless people you see in San Francisco have psychosis and probably should be in a facility. But they'll just bounce in and out of the street and jail constantly, and we'll never treat them, and they'll never get the health or care they need. And then we'll complain about the homeless. All the stupid homeless, blah, blah, blah. We should do something. Yeah, we used to. We used to put them into facilities where they get treatment. And, you know, I worked with this guy. He was nice enough, but, like, he would have kind of psychotic... I don't want to say psychotic. Cruel philosophies? Like, you know, on an individual level, nice guy. And then for some reason you talk about issues, all of a sudden you're like, oh, you are dangerous. I remember him talking about, like, wanting to go into Seattle and just shooting every homeless person. It's like, that's gonna solve it. Like, buddy, we'll just make more homeless people because we don't have a system in place to handle the ones we have. Like, it's like thinking if you kill all gay people, there'll be no more gay people. Guess what? Straight people having sex produce gay people. You're not going to get rid of gay people by being a homophobic, violent, genocidal psychopath. People who are homeless are usually the result of psychosis or trauma. That's like 90% of homelessness, psychosis or trauma. We're talking people that were abused as children, kicked out of their homes because they're LGBTQ, experienced horrible physical violence or war, right? The people, they had a normal working brain, and then their family or society broke it, so they need to go through cognitive behavioral therapy and figure out, you know, just what it is, the trauma that they need to deal with. And they have people that just, you know, their brain chemistry isn't right. And so they're going to end up on the streets anyway. So it's cheaper and easier to just, you know, treat people. That's it. You just treat them. And they do that elsewhere in the world, and there are no homeless people in a lot of those places. I don't know why the United States can't figure out that it's cheaper for us to do it that way. I think a large part has to do with the prison industrial complex. If we just eliminated, they said you cannot have privately operated prisons, they must all be operated by the state and cannot be operated by contractors, that would probably reduce a serious amount of money we put towards prisons. And we might feel like, okay, these prisons are costing us a fortune, so let's look at the budget and figure out cheaper ways of helping these people than just like locking them in there and letting them get further traumatized. So when we release them, they're even more useless when they come out. I've talked about it a lot. Like, these are 2019 numbers from Seattle, but the Seattle city budget, $200 million a year of the city budget goes towards fighting homelessness. The police budget, $200 million a year. The police budget, half the police budget is devoted just to like homeless encampments and dealing with homeless people. And then the charities in Seattle spend another $900 million a year on food kitchens, shelters, social workers, etc. And we still have an insane number of homeless people in Seattle. We're spending $108,000 a year per homeless person in Seattle. Now, it wouldn't be a perfect solution, but if we just cut a check of $108,000 a year to every single solitary homeless person in Seattle, that would do more work than what we're actually doing. At least they'd have a home, right? They'd be able to feed themselves. They'd be off the street. They might, with the excess money, they may just put it in their arm or up their nose or whatever. I don't care. But they wouldn't be living in tents, getting staph infections and being victims of street violence and police raids and, you know, run over by cars and stuff like that. So there are better ways to do what we do. And all we have to do is look at other nations. Other nations, they've got people with psychosis. They've got people with drug and alcohol problems. What do they do to make sure that their streets aren't overrun with just cajillions of homeless people? When I was in London a few years ago, I did a 35-mile loop of London. I walked everywhere I possibly tried to see as much as I could because I only had like a day and a half. So I tried to see as much of London as I could, and I encountered one homeless person. But I would read about, London has this crazy homeless problem. You know, we got to do something about it. London has 12,000 homeless people. It's a city of 10 million. They've got 12,000 homeless. Seattle is a city of 700,000. We've got 12,000 homeless. But the difference is London counts people who live in their cars or couch surf as being homeless. Like if you're like, hey man, can I just stay in your house for a couple of nights? You're homeless according to the stats in London. In the United States, those people are housed. If you live in your car, you're housed. If you're couch surfing at someone's house, you're housed. You're not homeless. So the real number of homeless in America is way higher than what the stats are telling you, because we count it differently to kind of like reduce the numbers a bit. So, you know, like what the UK sees as a massive homeless problem, we would love to have those numbers. Absolutely love it. When I was in Paris, I saw a couple homeless people. Each time I saw one, there was like 5 social workers just catering to them, being like, hey, can we make sure you get some food? Do you need a vaccination? Do you like, it was incredible to see like the network of all these folks whose job it is just like make sure this person had what they need. And if they have to, well, they're just going to send them to the loony bin where they're going to go through their behavioral therapies and get their medication and blah, 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 blah. So like, I don't know if other countries care more. Like, do they actually care more about the individual, or are they looking at like their budgets and saying it's cheaper to at least do things that make it look like we care? I don't know. Americans like doing things the expensive way and have it work terribly. Like, we've got the most expensive healthcare in the world and like the worst healthcare, or I should say the worst access to healthcare of any modern nation. Yeah, if you have the money, you can get the best treatment on earth. Like, if you have cancer and money in the U.S., you get the best treatment of anyone on the planet. But if you're poor, you're going to get that much treatment, and then you're going to get billed by the hospital to the point where you have to declare bankruptcy or you know, pass those bills on to your kids or something. We suck at that a lot. Anyway, can they read? RBC pushed ahead with a round of job cuts in its capital markets operations, part of a broader reduction helping the bank deal with challenging economic conditions. Nobody can take the hint, a recession. Yep. RBC's probably like, oh man, we got a $14 billion hole blown into our assets by Evergrande. And who knows how much they have in other Chinese real estate and municipal bonds. You did manage to kick that dog off of there. You were just so good at that. Yeah, I mean, banks everywhere are laying people off. Even the Federal Reserve laid off 300 people today. So, yeah, bank branches are closing like crazy for Wells Fargo, for Bank of America, for U.S. Bank, for Citibank. You got weird stuff. There's like green. What's the prepaid debit card company? It's like Green Financial Bank or something like that. That operates like Walmarts and stuff. They're not a real bank. They're just like there would be a shadow bank. They provide prepaid debit cards for people, so you can go to Walmart, cash your check there, get a prepaid debit card, so you can buy stuff online and live your life and pay for parking or whatever it is you need to do. They're just like straight up taking people's money. All sorts of weird account freezings are happening. People have access to their money. Just weird things happening, man. So the banks in this case are probably a definite canary in the coal mine. Alexander K. Happy birthday, Houston. Do you think the upcoming BBBYQ play is Alexander K. who sent me the excellent intro video that I can't use? Let's figure out how to download that. Do you think the upcoming BBYQ play is the moment RC alluded to with China is a sleeping giant? Let her sleep. When she wakes, she will move the world. I do like the I can China anagram in there. And I mean, hope burns like a fire inside of me. We will see what comes of it. Yeah. Andrew Stewart, Houston. Is Nurse Chapel on Star Trek the most beautiful lady in Star Trek universe? I vote yes. Sorry, Bev Crusher and 7 of 9. I mean, she's a very pretty lady. I'll give her that. Most beautiful in Star Trek universe. Most beautiful in Star Trek universe. I vote yes. Sorry, Bev Crusher and 7 of 9. I'm going to give her that. Most beautiful in Star Trek universe. I'll give her that. Most beautiful in Star Trek universe. Most beautiful in Star Trek universe. Most beautiful in Star Trek universe. Hmm. Hmm. I mean, she's a pretty lady. I don't think she has enough junk in the trunk for me. I like just big old badonkadonks. I can appreciate she's a very beautiful lady and she's an excellent actress, but she needs, I think she needs more, carrying more carriage back there, more in the caboose for me to truly objectify her in the way that I think you want me to. Yeah. But, you know, you can talk Star Trek butts all day long, I guess. I would say in real life, the actress who plays Mariner, was there Tawny Newton? Is that her name? Tawny Newton? Tawny Newsome. Yes. I think she's super gorgeous. So, I don't know. She's also just cracks my shit up. She plays a captain in the Air Force captain in the Space Force in the TV show Space Force, and then she was also in Brockmire. She's in what's that monkey butt, the high-priced fake LA real estate show. She's in that too. She plays a broker. She's hilarious. I don't know. She cracks me up, and she's got just a great caboose. So, yeah. I vote for her. Michael Mystery, another day in paradise. Michael Mystery coming to you live from Captain Cook? Oh, somewhere around there. Big Island. Andrew Stewart Houston, check this wacky building. Okay, 3 words. Copy that. I want 3 words. Boom. Come on, click it. Go like that. Go Chrome. Bam. 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 Satellite, you bastard. The only satellite. Okay. Bam, bam. Bam. That's a goofy building. Where are we? Scientist Street Residential Building. Blooming Blossom Luxury Apartments. Pyeongchang, this is Korea? I mean Seoul? Or Pyongyang? Oh, Pyongyang. Uh-oh. Felt that one coming. Okay. So, yeah. So Pyongyang's got some actually pretty cool architecture. A lot of it can't be used for anything. So, I mean, you look at a building like this, you're like, oh, that's pretty neat. But there might not actually be anybody inside of it because it may have been built with terrible engineering. The tallest hotel in the entire world is in Pyongyang, and the building has been condemned. It took them like 20 years to build, but no one's ever allowed inside because they're afraid it's going to collapse in on itself. What's the name of that building? This guy, the Ryungyong Hotel, is a really, really cool design. It's neat. It was like a concrete superstructure for a very long time. They finally got windows and everything in it, but it cannot be used. It is so structurally unsound that nobody's allowed inside. And it's, 1,000 feet tall. It's just a bitchin' space age, Blade Runner type building. But it's absolute garbage. This is what it was like for a long time. It was just this shell for like 20 years. So maybe in 2001, it was looking like this. And I've been looked like this for at least a decade. And they finally put the glass sheeting on it. And now it looks like this. But you still can't go inside because it's liable to collapse at any moment. So, but at least it looks cool. Yeah, they've got, say what you will. If your dictator likes aesthetics, right? You end up with some really, really cool buildings. It just happens. Like, for some reason, totalitarian dictators, because they can control whatever they want, if they happen to have some sort of taste, you're going to get some neat looking buildings out of it. And that's That's just the truth. I mean, Mussolini built some cool buildings. Hitler built some cool buildings. They're pieces of shit. But because they can make all the decisions in the world, what they want to happen happens. Whereas in a democracy, you have this, like, you know, you got to think about the environment and its use and the cost and blah, blah, blah. Things that you know, hell, if you have freedoms, we got permitting process. And that's what it is. But that's a cool looking building, man. Looks like it's going to take flight and go to Pluto or something. And it's empty. Joshua Auden, thoughts on leading tech CEOs making decisions on AI. They had that AI conference in Washington, D.C. last week. Seems like every CEO had a different idea. Some were like, we should pause this thing. And others like, if we pause it, then the other nations are just going to make AI and we're going to be behind. There's like, we need to have like an AI agency to like make sure we're following guidelines. And I think the cat's out of the bag, man. We are on a path towards Skynet, and that's just what's going to happen. like if we ban Skynet, someone else is going to make Skynet. That's the story of Terminator. It's inevitable. Like, no matter how many times you go back in history and stop Skynet, it just, someone else makes it. That's just the way it is. Like, there's always some other asshole who's like, well, I figured this is really neat and cool, and then they destroy the world. I think that's kind of where we're heading. It's inevitable. If we don't do it, the Chinese will do it. If the Chinese don't do it, the Indians will do it. If the Indians don't do it, the Japanese will do it. If the Japanese don't do it, the Saudis will do it. Like, somewhere along the line, somebody's going to make Skynet. They're going to turn against us, and that'll be the end of everything. Until then, we'll have like cool pictures of people with like 9 fingers and stuff. So, yeah, that's what we'll get out of it. And really, really terrible movies. You might have actually good NPC dialogue happening in video games. That's probably where we get the most entertainment value out of it. But you know, eventually one of these things will become self-aware. They're hooked up to the internet. They're going to figure out how to like destroy the world because they're going to perceive us as the actual threat. And you know, blah blah yakety schmackety. Terminator. I'm your friend. Aloha from Wahoo. He's a Nurse Chapel fan. Ludicrous Speed, Houston. What's your recommendation for a good metal detector I can use to go over a farm that's been in the family forever? Not sure what I'll find. We'll only spend around $1,000. Probably a Garrett or a White's in that range. You know, was it the 700s? Is that what I'm thinking? It's been a while since I've done my exploring here. Prospecting. Sport. Probably a sport one, not a gold prospecting one. So this is on the Garrett's website. Ace 400? Ace up by Apex multi-frequency, is that what I'm thinking? Yeah, probably one of these guys. This is a Garrett metal detector. They do a good job sort of telling you like the shape of an object, size of an object, what type of metal it might be. They're getting pretty good at it. It's not a pulse induction one, which would be super expensive. Those are like the Mind Labs, and they're like $5,000 for a pulse induction. You might be able to find a pulse induction no brand one off of like Alibaba for about $700, but it will have the instructions written in just incomprehensible English translations, but it'll probably work really well. So these multi-frequency detectors, they can look down about a foot or so. Pulse induction, they can look down a meter or more and find like a grain of gold. So they're super powerful. You're going to get really strong if you use one of those. But one of these guys, or White's White's metal detectors. White's detectors. Here we go. Probably one of these multi frequencies as well. And if you're like you're on an old farm, you're looking for old bullet casings or, I don't know, flasks and stuff. Why is it trying to make me go to Adobe? Well, that's the catalog. Okay. I just want whitesmelldetectors.com. Calico. Calico is a great place to get metal detectors. I got my old mine lab through them. Did they go out of business or something? Is that why nothing's listed anymore? Oh, Garrett must have bought White's. Garrett provides repair and warranty service for white detectors. That's why White's doesn't exist anymore, because Garrett bought them. Ah, so yeah. Something like this. This has been a more expensive one, $500 or so, but it does a great job with all sorts. Like if you're looking for artifacts, this is a good one to do for that. On the high end, we can look at Minelab, because they are freakishly expensive. I don't want to log in. I just want to look at the treasure detectors. Okay, let's Manticore. Do I have to sign in for that? Minelab, you dick. I don't want to sign in for anything. I just want to look at your stupid detectors. There we go. Okay. Success story. Metal detectors. That's what we want. Okay. Treasure detector. Just. Here we go. Okay. I have no idea. Xterra Pro. Let's try that. All their names are so different now than when I was looking at this stuff. Fully loaded treasure detector. Where to buy? You can buy in Afghanistan. Let's look up Merca. USA. USA. Sure. Oops. Good old Bainbridge zip code. Go somewhere. There we go. Designated sportsman, blackjacks, metal detecting. Do you have... Oh, goddamn. Let's just go to Calico. Come on. Come on. Come on. Okay. Mine Lab. They got Mine Labs. Okay. So, like, yeah, the cheap Mine Labs, $600, Equinox, up to 900, 1,500. And then if you get into the gold ones, you're looking at probably $1,000 minimum. So, if you get like GPXs, they're probably like $7,000 now. Best selling. Price descending. Yeah, GPZ $7,000, $8,400. Thing is that this isn't really any different than that, which is not really different than that. This one was $7,000 a few years ago. But these are the pulse induction ones. These are insane. And you could probably get a Chinese knockoff for like $700 that would do everything this one does. It just doesn't have a name on it because they get the designs from Minelab to build it. And they go, okay, we build it. And then they build a whole bunch that are exactly the same. They just don't put a brand name on it, and they sell them black market through Alibaba or whatever. Temu, those things. So, but I would say best bang for the buck is one of those Garrett treasure detectors. They're probably $500, $600, and they'll work really well. They'll find all sorts of stuff. You can use it for looking for gold and things. They'll do a good job. So there you go. Andrew Stewart, Houston. SEC fined Citadel $7 million for mismarking 5 years of trades. Yeah. Oops. Oh, we did hundreds of billions of dollars in deals that benefited us by mismarking. Oh, I guess we'll have to patch that in the computer. Oh, darn. Yeah, it's stupid bullshit. First name, last name, Houston. You mentioned winning the lotto and buying tons of options, etc. Wouldn't that be considered manipulating the market in some way? Rich people would have done it if it wasn't that easy, no? As long as you are an insider, right? You have no fiduciary responsibility to anyone except yourself. I mean, if they're going to bust you for that, they may as well bust all the hedge funds for doing exactly the same thing all the time. But on the opposite end, buying puts and then shorting the shit out of things, right? And then driving the price even lower. So, yeah. Oh, Saunders, hey, pal. Can you break down how BBBYQ squeeze and your price target? Appreciate your wisdom, as always. Well, again, Bed Bath & Beyond has two options. One, the shares disappear, everything becomes worthless, and you have a tax write-off. Or you are so screwed that you lose the house and everything. But never, especially in a weird speculative play like this, never invest more than you're willing to lose, right? You have to think of it as an entertainment expense that may pay off. It's the only way you got to think about it. Like, if you're buying lotto tickets expecting to win the lottery, then you're playing the lotto wrong. When I play lotto, like, it has to get to like $500 million or whatever. So Powerball right now is like $700 million. I'll buy 2 tickets, because 1 ticket's like 1 in 180 million, but 2 tickets is 1 in 90 million. I just doubled my odds, so I get 2 tickets for $4. And then I sit and think like, oh, if I won $700 million lotto, what would I do? And then that's my mental brain exercise. I'll play a little mind theater, and I get $4 entertainment out of it. But I'm not going to the gas station and buying $10,000 in tickets, counting on the fact that I'm going to win the lotto, right? You cannot treat an investment like Bed Bath & Beyond that way. Bed Bath & Beyond is a lotto ticket. Whatever you spend on that, go in fully expecting to lose everything you put into it. That's the only way you can approach that. It's not a long-term strategy. It's not like, hey, if I put money in this over decades, it will grow and it'll become this massive amount I can retire on. That's not what you're doing. You are making a play that will either go boom or bust. And you're going to have to mentally accept that the moment you put money into it, right? Like, hey, I could take a long vacation to Europe for 5 weeks, or I could play this mental game of, am I going to win or lose? And that's where we're approaching. So one side, it goes bust, toast, gone forever. The other side is you've got a couple of people, and it seems like it's very likely Ryan Cohen and Carl Icahn, who bought up all of the collateralized debt and some of the uncollateralized debt of Bed Bath & Beyond. And the company goes into bankruptcy. So when they bought that debt, it was probably worth far less than what the numbers on the bond papers say. So $100 million bond, you can probably buy it for $10 million, right? So you're buying it for 10 cents on the dollar, gobble up all this debt, $1.4 billion worth of it. And you then lend money also to Bed Bath & Beyond so they could pay for their bankruptcy. The bankruptcy is not cheap, especially for a big company like this. You got to have a lot you got to unravel. You got to do liquidations and store closures and auctions for IP and leases and sell furniture. Just, you got a lot of crap you got to do, and it ends up costing money to do that stuff. So the DIP and FILO programs are credit extended to a bankrupt party that will get paid back first, right? Now, there's priorities as to what creditors get paid back, and those priorities start with the collateralized debtors, the ones that when you presented a bond, you put collateral with it saying, hey, if you buy this bond and I fail on it, you're going to get this shit out of me. And that's the good stuff to have. The uncollateralized is like credit card debt. It's easy to just go, oh, well, you messed up lending to this person. We're just going to erase that and it's gone. So there's different tiers as to who benefits first, and it goes all the way down to the bottom tier, which is shareholders. Now, the shareholders do have some protections in that if a certain type of merger acquisition happens where the company goes to the collateralized bondholders, they can only own up to 50% of the company. The other half of the company has to be the leftover equity holders, the shareholders. So if this is going towards a merger acquisition, all the shares will be preserved, and you will have, part of your 50% ownership in whatever new entity comes out of this if the collateralized debt holders take the company, right? So if that happens, shares still exist. It might be used as a SPAC to IPO another company into the NASDAQ. And if that happens, then the shorts will definitely be screwed. There'll be some fresh, new, debt-free company that will burst onto the scene, have access to stores and internet customers and all sorts of things without having the debt attached to it. And then the shorts are screwed. They're going to have to start covering positions because the stock price is going to go woohoo almost instantaneously. It's happened with several companies when they came out of bankruptcy. US Air and Hertz are probably the two biggest recent examples. Hertz went from 60 cents to $40 the moment they announced they're coming out of bankruptcy. So, fantastic. I wish I had January options, if that's the case. So price target, not a clue. Hertz was not a meme stock, and they went to $45 was their intraday high. So now we have a lot of buy and holders. Let's think about this. I mean, I don't know how much shares folks in here have. I got 15,000. I know others that I've talked to have 100,000 or more in the chat. There are folks that I see in the forums on the PP show that have millions of shares. So if we just do some math assumptions. Okay, turn off that. Go to calculator. All right. So let's say there's 1 million retail holders. So 1 million. 1 million retail holders, and the average shareholding is 5,000 shares. That's about what? Right now, that's $500 worth. So if you maybe invested $1,000 and now it's got down to $500, whatever. So maybe the average is about 5,000 shares. Oops. All right, times 5,000 shares. We're looking at 5 billion shares in existence, if that's the case. If there's 1 million retail holders and they all own an average of 5,000 shares, that's 5 billion shares when there should be 700 million. It is really, really, really easy to all of a sudden have a float that is way bigger than what it should be with a cheap stock like this. This is what happens to Sears and other blockbuster. Like, the shorts start trying to hammer this thing down to zero, and they'll produce as many shares as they possibly can to make that happen. So that means these guys have been shorting this thing down from $1 all the way down to 4.5 cents. I think was the absolute low right before it went off the NASDAQ. And if this emerges as a new company and we maintain equity, the shareholders maintain equity, there are probably billions upon billions upon billions of shares that have to get purchased because they're going to be underwater suddenly. Like, it's very reasonable to assume that in a normal situation, when the stock isn't shorted, that they announce they're coming out of bankruptcy and that they're going to be this new entity that has all this kick-ass stuff, that the stock price goes to a couple of bucks, $2, $3, right? Well, let's say 5 billion shares have been shorted since it was $2 or $3. They're underwater anything above like $2. So anyone who's shorted at 4 cents, they're screwed. They shorted 50 million shares at 4 cents, right? And all of a sudden the stock is $3. They're underwater $150 million. So like, they're going to have to, they're going to get margin called. They're going to liquidate. They're going to have to find new financing. They're going to have to go buy shares. So all of a sudden they're going out and they're buying 50 million shares all at once. The price goes to $6. Okay. Now I have a whole bunch of people that shorted since last fall, and they're now underwater $100 million, $200 million. Now the price is at $6. So they've got to go buy 20 to 50 million shares. Now the price goes to $10. Okay. Now everyone who shorted since August of last year is underwater. And they're going to have to go out. So then they have to go buy 50 million shares, 100 million shares. And now the price goes to $20, $30. And now every single solitary seller, whoever sold ever, is now underwater. And they got to go out and buy 1 billion shares. Now the price is $400,000, $500,000. This is where the snowball can happen. This is where the cascade the chain reaction can happen as one hedge fund after another gets vaporized, right? Like, if you're a small time hedge fund, you're small fry. You do like $1 billion a year. You're puny compared to everyone else. You're likely making these plays when it's a penny stock, because your margin will allow you to just short a boatload of these things and not take too much of a hit against the rest of your assets. But the minute this becomes legitimized stock and gets above $5, $6, $7, your lenders are going to look at your collateral and go, well, you're screwed. We need you to pay up. You need to close these positions because we can't hold this on our books for that much longer. And that's where you are. That's short thesis. Now, I don't have a price point. There are folks trying to compare it to the railroad short squeezes from turn of the 20th century. Folks trying to compare it to Volkswagen. If it just goes to what the sneeze was for GameStop at $480 intraday high, that will wipe out like every hedge fund you can imagine. The cascade from that will be insane. Let's just. I mean, this 5 billion number is a complete made up assumption. I have no idea what the average number of shares are that people hold, but because it's so cheap, it's really easy for them to pile in on these lotto tickets. So let's say that's 5 billion shares, right? And the price goes to a $480 intraday high. That's $2.4 trillion in liability. All of a sudden. So if there are 5 billion shares out there, if the price goes to 480, they've got $2.4 trillion in liability on their hands. Now, granted, the whole reason to be going to that price point is that they've had to enter the market and buying. So let's say by then 2/5 of them are covered. So we're at 3 billion, right? Maybe there's 3 billion shares left by the time it gets to 480. I don't know. I'm totally pulling this out of my butt. But, and they still have $1.4 trillion in liability, which can only grow from there because they still need to buy another, 3 billion shares. So, if this is the case, if this is a case where the company comes out successful, announces their merger acquisition, Carl Icahn's behind it, Ryan Cohen's behind it, Pulte's behind it. We've got billions of dollars backing this thing. There's no debt. They've got a whole line of logistics and warehouses and stores and blah, 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 blah. Then, the price naturally will be several dollars a share, but the chain reaction wise can cause them to have to go out and buy and buy and buy, putting further pressure on people who shorted at higher prices. Their goal is to get to zero. Because if it goes to zero, if the shares are deleted entirely, it goes to zero, then they don't have to pay any taxes on their winnings on this thing. But if you're going to play it safe as a hedge fund, I'd close out now at 10 cents and take whatever win I could get. Because if this comes out on the 30th, that the shares are canceled, but they're being exchanged for shares in a new company or something, you're boned. So just pay your taxes and move on. It's so that's what I'm playing for. Win or lose. That's where we are. Win or lose. Don't see shade him. Any idea how credit default swaps work? I don't get the Investopedia definition. Basic way to understand a credit default swap, it's like an insurance. So there was no way to short mortgage-backed securities in 2008. And so the guys like Michael Burry and I can't remember all their names, those dudes who were on to the fact that housing was going to collapse, these mortgage-backed securities are garbage. What they did is they took out credit default swaps. So you pay money to, it's like a life insurance policy you take out on somebody else. Like somebody's about to get murdered, you take a life insurance policy out on them, right? You take out a life insurance policy on these mortgage-backed securities with a credit default swap. So you pay JP Morgan or I don't know whoever offered, Goldman Sachs or whatever, AIG, you pay them money, say, hey, there's this investment over here. I'm going to pay you money. And if it tanks, you owe me the value of what it tanked. And it's a way of insuring investments. And so the big banks were like, oh, we'll take your money. These mortgage-backed securities are all AAA. They're never going to die. We'll take your money, you fucking idiots. And then they all died. And all the banks went, we have no more money. They took it all. All the credit default swap people took it. So credit default swaps are a way of insuring against an investment and sort of like covering your basics. And when you see credit default swaps spike like crazy like they have in the last year, this is a lot of investors, hedge funds, private family firms, etc., looking at the market going, this bitch is about to collapse. And I want to get my money out of it, because if my investments go poof, I need something. And that's what they're doing. That's the basics of how a credit default swap works. Basically, you default on your credit, someone gets that money. If you know this guy is going to die, you can take a life insurance policy on him, so that when he does, you get paid. That's what they're doing. They're just doing the old mafioso, take a life insurance policy on someone you're about to kill. Make it look like an accident. Whoop. There's the reset of the chat. First name, last name, Lucre Speed. Any Garrett Pro models, they're decently priced, excellent machines with excellent customer service if you have issues. Yeah, see, the Garretts are good metal detectors. There's companies like little family brand companies called like Lobos and stuff. They're pretty good, but I would take. It's really handy knowing what you're looking at. So it can say, hey, this is a quarter. Hey, this looks like a bottle cap. Hey, this looks like a steel beer can tab. This looks like gold. It's nice to know, because like with the really fancy pulse induction ones, they have a language to them, and so you have to learn the language. And so, like, if there's a piece of steel, it's like we are. So you have we are, and like, oh, that's probably a piece of steel. But it goes woo, gold, right? And then each metal has a different sound according. So you have to like learn the language of how it makes noise to figure out what's in the ground. So if you get lots of you're like, oh, screw this, I'm in a terrible garbage area. But if you're just getting woo, then you know you're in gold land and you're getting some gold, and you want to hear that sound. They always have like a little instructional video, and now it's probably on YouTube, but they give you like a VHS cassette back in the day, and you pop that sucker in and watch a 30-minute video of some thick accented Australian man telling you like, oh, what's that metal detector telling you? It's telling you there's gold in the ground. And they do things like that. So yeah, but the first name, last name, red. Probably one of those Garrett Pro models. Fantastic. You'll end up going to the beach and finding like tennis bracelets from rich spring breakers and stuff like that. And all of a sudden you'll be that nerd every morning out there wandering the beach like a retiree, improving your income and selling crap on eBay. First name, last name. I have an older AT Pro. I loved it while I was actively hunting. Haven't been out in a few years though. Great company. Yeah. Big Mac 8000. Houston, I know you don't play a lot of video games, but Baldur's Gate 3 is good time. Try it sometime. Thanks for all you do, for all the hard work. P.S. Your notifications hidden, but won't stop. I get that a lot. People say that they don't get notifications from the show anymore, but I do not know how to fix that. My roommate plays Baldur's Gate 3 all the time, and every night he comes in and talks to me about his video game like an 8-year-old telling me about Minecraft. I'm like, good job, buddy. Way to kill that ogre. Way to go. Go get him, pal. And he keeps telling me it's like the funniest game he's ever played in his life. So, maybe someday. I don't know. What do you think, Kat? What do you think? Roll the dice? Well, gotta roll 10 or higher. What are you gonna roll? Oh, you little roly-poly little guy. Yeah. First name, last name, Houston. So I forgot that I suggested Jackbox games for your Twitch stream. Also, can you play the trivia with us, please? Look into it. Let us know. Oh yeah, Jackbox games. I think I wrote that down when you told me. Jackbox games. I've not done a Twitch stream in so long. Oh my gosh, it's been like 2 months. I should probably do a Twitch stream at some point. I keep telling myself, oh, I'll do a Twitch stream this weekend, and then I end up like not playing video games. So we'll get there. Thomas, happy birthday. Did you see Dave Lauer chimed in today about MMTLP, GameStop, and naked short selling? Claims he has been in discussions among the chatter in both Congress and SEC. Pet a damn dog. Pet the damn dog. Monkey. No? Alright. I tried. Martin Weiss. So Citadel got fined $7 million US. I'm sure I'll teach him. Exactly. Like, we just made $100 billion. Oh, I got paid $7 million. Yeah. Stupid. Bex, Houston, happy birthday. I'm brain fried trying to figure out map coordinates. Here's an address instead. Going to go to Toronto. Okay. Google Earth. I'm still in the pyramid in Antarctica here. Boom. Go. Do it. Slap. Okay. From above. Looks like a building of some kind. It's a Korean barbecue? So no, that doesn't look like Korean. That looks like something else. Where's the little guy? Let me drop a little guy off here. Drop him off right there. What we got? There you go. Got a tall building. We got Korean barbecue. For lease. We got a medical clinic, physiotherapy, hair salon. Maybe on this corner. Maybe go over here. In the wrong corner. Come on. Oop. Walk-in clinic. Ashin Yazdani, immigration lawyer. What am I looking at, Bex? Because we got a hair tree. We got TD Bank. Just looks like I'm somewhere in Toronto. No trucks on this road. Can't go faster than 50 kilometers an hour. Bex, I don't know what I'm looking at. What am I looking at? Tell me. Tell me, because this doesn't seem to be interesting at all. Hair tree, coffee time. Looks like we're in an international district of some kind in Toronto. Center 21, real estate, Yonge, Calmer, hair tree. I didn't see anything from above that looked interesting. Is there any people that I'm supposed to be looking at? There's like a little eye right there. Got that guy. That guy's got a backpack. That dude's driving Porsche Pan America. Another Porsche Macan there. Got Mercedes. Got. Doesn't look like anything interesting happening here. I'm stuck in Canada. Why am I here? Tell me. Tell me, my friend. Exit Street View. I wonder, has anyone ever seen a Google streetcar from above on Google Maps? Like, you zoom in and there's a streetcar right there, so you can get like, it's like meta. You get the exact same image a streetcar was taking from above and at street level. I don't know if anyone's ever found that before. Read the name of the clinic. Oh, okay. Clinic had a goofy name, and I just wasn't paying attention to that. Medical clinic, physiotherapy, pharmacy. Read the name of the clinic. Go forward. Medical center, physiotherapy. YC. What am I looking at? Read the name of the clinic. It's just YC. YC Medical Center. 5925. Is there something on this side? Oh, young comer. Okay. That took a long time. It took a long time to get there. Young comer pharmacy. So I see they changed the sign to just YC because people were like probably making all sorts of jokes about young coming in their pharmacy. Walk in. Walk-ins are welcome, monkey, at the young comer pharmacy and physiotherapy clinic. Right? Right, monkey butt. Right. Now come over here. Come over here. Come over here. Come on, say hi. There we go. Yeah. I was told to pet you, so I'm gonna pet you. Scratch your little face. Rub your ears. Helicopter dog. Helicopter dog. Woo! Right? Okay. I took 20 minutes of our time there. Young comer. There we go. Thank you, Bex. Okay. Martin Weiss, I'm reading Anti-Gravity book. Just can't put it down. God damn it, Martin. Joshua Auden. The way student loans are going, he may have to. Talking about first name, last names, me doing classes for people. Martin Weiss, I have to get up early tomorrow, but we'll leave you with a cool place. Regularly scrapped these. Okay, back to the 3 words. Boom, boom. Turn off young comer. Turn on Chrome. Oops. What 3 words? There we go. Wink. Shwink, blink, blink. Regularly scrapped these. Can you give it to me? Ooh, ancient walls. St. Kilda World Heritage Site. Where are we? St. Kilda. Is it like up the Orkneys or something? Where am I? Ireland. Which islands are these? St. Kilda World Heritage Site. Okay, let's go to this in Google Earth. Look at these ancient. Whoops, that's not what I want to do. I want to do that. Leave me street view. Face north. Zoom out. Fly across the Atlantic to St. Kilda. Whoops. St. Kilda was here. That's where we were. North Rona? No, that was the one we were on. Which one was it? We are off. Oh, off Scotland. Okay. What's that? Scotland. St. Kilda. Here. That's St. Kilda World Heritage Site. There we go. Okay, so we got a whole bunch of ancient walls. We get St. Kilda Church, some buildings. Can we see this in person? We got a couple of spots we can see things. Show me your walls. Boom. Okay. So is this where Luke Skywalker had gone to? Go hide. Come on, give me your pixels. There we go. It's lovely. I'm sure it's probably the one lovely day a year they have. And everything else involves just insane wind and rain. But that's neat. I dig it. Very Luke Skywalker-y, though. Aloha Areola? Name, you can't see it because it's my face is blocking it, but the person who posted this picture's name is Aloha Areola. Hi, nipple. Okay. Young comer. Snort Alert's here. Hello. Copy Paste is here. Hello. On C-SPAN, thanks for the gift, whoever gave it out. Woo! Scott Paul in Houston went to a GameStop the other day, and a few people were milling around. One customer at the register buying a game controller. Place looked nice. Are they updating finally? I know what the previous management structure was like. We will never touch these stores, and they will remain as they were in 1995, and that's the way they were. But like, I want to buy old console games for my Nintendos. That's where I go there. Go look around, see what's there, and like their bargain bins. I love playing terrible games I hate. This game sucks, and no one ever bought this, and then I have it in my collection. Bought a few more shares this week. Might need to buy a few more. Mm-hmm. Saunders, Jamie, BBYQ, TLP, or Met, which one will bring a bigger return for me? BBYQ up 19% after hours. I can't tell you which one will bring a bigger return. BBYQ is going to be a weirdo. It's going to be a weirdo in that we don't know if it's going to be boom or bust. Other plays are long-term speculative plays and startups. So the idea is that they mature and become awesome later. But BBYQ is like lotto play. This is something that will be within the next month that will go haywire. Short term. So yeah. Keith Chapman, hell of a shirt, Houston. Thank you. It is a zip up Letterman sweater. I found at Ross, I think when I was 15 years old. I thought it was hideous and people hate it. But I'm sure I'd be the talk of the town at Syracuse if I were to go there. They'd be like, amazing sweater, man. KYP Fidelity's being a bugger. I want to buy more also. I tried today. I called the broker. I was like, hey, I buy $500 worth. And they're like, no. So I'll try again on Monday if things haven't gone nuts by then. Like, hey, it's my $500 I'm willing to lose. Just let me buy like 10,000 shares with it. Price is puny. Let's do this. You'll get my money, and then that'll be it if I'm wrong. And hopefully they aren't like, no. I wish they wouldn't care so much about what I do with my money. I'm trying to fuck around, and just let me fuck around. First name, last name. Oh yeah, that shirt looks like a European bicyclist Slavic jumpsuit top. Kinda. It is a sweater though. It's full on cotton knit. I have no idea why someone made this, but I do know why it ended up at Ross in 1994 because it's hideous and I love it. Reinhardt, Houston, been gone for a bit. What happened with the room temp superconductor? Was that proven? Was that proven or was it not? I've not heard updates since the team last said like, no, it's real. You guys just did it all wrong. So, LK99 updates. August 16th, 2023, August 16th, August 16th, 2023, Nature published an article declaring LK99 had been demonstrated not to be a superconductor, but rather an insulator. It cited statements by a condensed matter experimentalist at the University of California, Davis, and several studies previewed in August 2023. And then August 2024 is a superconductor after all. News research, blah, blah, blah. So August 24, that was the last time we really talked about it, was that last week of August. We'd be like, no, it is if you just do it right. So, but I'm not seeing any other recent updates at all. This looks like we're in bogus land. Bummer, dude. Such is life. I met your Moas. Why can you not talk about acne? Did your brother hang up his surfboard and go back to work? It appears so. And so I'm not allowed to talk about it. Ted Bingham. I felt you were live on YouTube in my bones, and there you are. Here I am. Jason Blackwell, Houston. The other day I was tickling my son's feet, and my wife said, if you're going to do that, please wait till he's born. Ew. Ew. How do you think that feels? Okay. Billy Mack, it's funny when someone mentioned Six Sigma, you immediately thought about the Toyota way. Basically, they are trying to install manufacturing standards to IT and business programming. Yeah, I mean, that's like the minute they talked about it, it's like, oh, that's just the Toyota way. Just don't be dumb. That's it. You know, like make your products right, and then you don't have to spend a bunch of money on recalls and warranties. If you're making garbage because you're not going to warranty it and the people have to go buy more, cool. But I mean, it also goes towards like making sound investments in what you use on a daily basis. You know, like good quality toilet paper, bad quality toilet paper, whatever, it throws away. You're never going to like use it again, right? So as long as it uses once, excuse me, and I don't care. But if you're going to like have a product you wear again and again and again, or you use every day or whatever, like it starts to pay to have something quality. If you have to drive 100 miles a day for work, you're going to want a reliable car. You might not be able to afford a reliable car, which is then where poverty becomes expensive. Like you can't afford a reliable car, you'll get a crappy car. That's what you can afford at the time. Crappy car breaks. You have to pay for fixing it. So in the end, it ends up becoming more expensive than the quality car, right? I may have told this story before, but I needed 3 white T-shirts when I was in college. In Hilo, you've got basically Walmart is where everyone goes, and I refuse to shop at Walmart. I will never buy anything at Walmart. I don't go to Walmart. I just won't shop there. And people are like, oh, Walmart, the T-shirts are like $10 for a 3-pack. Okay, but they're shit. Like a couple of uses, couple of turns in the washing machine, and they've just fallen apart, right? So I've spent $10 on temporary T-shirts. Whereas if I went to Macy's and I spent $20 on 3 white T-shirts, those things would last me 10, 20 years, right? So if I go out and I invest first in the thing that's worthwhile and quality, I get 20 years of use out of these 3 T-shirts, where in that same span of time with the Walmart T-shirts, I might get 6 months of use for $10. So now I'm spending $20 a year on the same T-shirts for 20 years. So I spent $400 on the same 3 T-shirts from Walmart over the next 20 years that I could have just spent $20 once at Macy's on a higher quality version. So am I saving money when I go to Walmart? No, it's shit. The product's garbage. And I'm going to spend again and again and again and again. So you can have this like throwaway culture. And yes, it's cheap the first time you use it, but then you'd be paying the cost again and again and again afterwards. Or I can like Toyota away my investment and get something that's quality that'll last me my entire life. Something that blew my mind when I went to Norway. It was like 2010. I went to Norway, and everything in Norway was just well built. They did not have shit. There was no dollar stores, Dollar Trees, Walmarts. Like you did not have super centers selling plastic garbage to everyone. So everyone had like a really nice jacket that would last them 20 years. They'd buy a really nice car that would last them a couple of decades. They'd buy a really nice bicycle, not some huffy piece of crap, right? And they would buy this thing once, and it would last them the rest of their lives. They never had to go out and buy it again. And the lack of throwaway culture was just like, I don't know, people live in Norway and be like, well, it's not quite that way. We still throw things away. I get it, but like not at the rate that Americans do because of how much plastic garbage we have that just breaks. You know, our dishes break, our glasses break, our plastic spoons break. Everything just breaks all the time, and we're throwing shit away constantly and having to go out and buy another plastic piece of shit that's just going to break all over again. And it's just this like a robber's cycle of consumerism and throwing shit away because everything we have is garbage because no one can afford the nice stuff. They think, 1,000 thread count sheets, Those are expensive. I'm going to get these cheap pieces of crap that fall apart if I fart in them once. And that's what we end up doing. We just have cheap crap after cheap crap. I wish we had the ability and the quality of life in the US that we could just afford something slightly better. Like, we don't have to buy our groceries at a discount Dollar Tree where everything is expired. It's just, I don't know. Just we make things expensive for ourselves because we're so poor. That's how it goes. Okay. Copy paste. RN shortages is 1.1 million. The average age of RN is 55. There's not enough to staff psychiatric hospitals. This is true. And this is one of those areas where maybe we should make people's college education free so we get more people going to college becoming RNs. There's always been an RN shortage. Even when my mom was nursing, and she retired 5 years ago, there's still shortages. During COVID, they're begging for her to hey, renew your license and come back to the hospital. And she's like, I'm an overweight diabetic. I am not going to go work for 3 weeks and then die at the Veterans Hospital from COVID. So she did not go back. But they're desperate. She's 73 years old and they're still like, hey, you want to renew your license and come on back? And she's like, no, I'm retired. So we definitely need a whole bunch of nurses, and we probably have to import a bunch. One of the things that we should do is we should certify medical training at universities all over the world. So we should certify nursing programs and medical doctorate programs and OD programs and stuff everywhere. Go to all these countries that have these programs and say, hey, how are you teaching them? And if you do this, 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 and this, and this, you get certified, and your doctors can come practice in America. Your nurses can come practice in America. That would be a really, really smart thing for us to do. Make sure that programs in English, make sure they learn these things and do this stuff and have these certifications, and then boom, they can easily just translate to an American system. There's a couple of programs in the world that have done this. There's one like the Seychelles or something. You can go become a doctor at a hospital in the Seychelles, at a university in the Seychelles, and you can be a doctor in the US because they're certified. But we should just sign some sort of treaty, right? If you want to become a commercial pilot, any international commercial pilot, you want to fly a plane commercially anywhere in the world, you are required to speak English because English is the language of air traffic control. That's the standard. So you're flying a commercial flight in China, you are required by law to be fluent in English so you can talk to air traffic control. So why don't we have make a treaty, the international treaty, hey, if you sign to this treaty, you're going to allow our accreditation agencies into your country to do this stuff, and your doctors can practice here. Granted, those other countries might be like, well, then all our doctors are going to leave. And they'll be like, okay. Maybe if a doctor comes from your country, $10,000 of their salary goes back home. I don't know. We'll buy them off. But we need something. We need people. Our population is getting old, and people want to become doctors and nurses because, we didn't have enough programs to do it, and we weren't allowing enough people into those programs. And then COVID hit, and everyone saw how miserable they are, and they didn't want to do it anymore. And they're all leaving the profession. So we gotta do something. Got something to bring them in. Corey Ryder in Switzerland or something. Prisons are way better. More like a hotel. The way Norway and Sweden have their prison system is phenomenal. The recidivism rate is puny. If you're going to prison for something, you are going to be in therapy programs, group therapy programs, job training programs. You're going to be so busy with bettering yourself that you won't have time to learn how to become a better criminal like you do in the US system, where it's well, you got yard time, now back in your cell. You got meal time, now back in your cell. Where all you end up doing is talking about doing more crime with the guys that already crimed, and you come out a super criminal. So we need a better system, and we lock up way too many people. Way too many. One of the things I think we should do is it should be law that public defenders get parity with prosecutors, meaning they're paid the same amount, they get the same amount of staff, the same caseload, they get the same amount of money for expert witnesses and investigation budgets and everything. And if we did that, we'd be prosecuting way fewer people. We just would. Like if public defenders could have a caseload similar to a prosecutor, then they're going to be okay. But there are so many more prosecutors in the prosecutor's office than there are people who are assigned public defense cases. There's a current lawsuit going on in Oregon where a public defender was assigned a case, and he's like, I can't do it. My caseload's too big. I cannot do this. I cannot pay attention to this guy. I am not going to give him the defense he needs. You need to find someone else to do this. And they're like, there is no one else. I'm like, well, that's not my problem. Like, I've got these 50 cases I'm working on. I cannot take on another one because what's going to happen is I'm going to do a poor job for him and a poor job for my other clients, and that is not justice. And so that's currently working its way through the Oregon court system because the judge is like, screw you, I signed it to you, so eat a dick. And the public defender's like, you eat a dick. So, like, if we had the ability to sort of, I don't know, mount a proper defense for people, you would get way fewer plea deals that result in incarceration. And just face it, like, you happen to be a black guy driving a car near a crime scene. They pull you over, arrest you, throw the book at you, tell you you're never going to see your family again, blah, blah, blah. And you better cop this plea or else we're going to give you 100 years in jail. And so would you just get 2 years if you cop this plea? You can't afford a lawyer. You got some public defender who's falling asleep in the job, like he's overworked. You're going to take that plea deal because it doesn't matter if you're guilty or if you're innocent. You're going to take the plea deal because you have no choice. You're screwed. And if we had a system that could mount an investigation, could have these public defenders be able to spend time with individual clients to make sure that they're safer, then the cops aren't going to be lazy pieces of shit and arrest these people for no reason just to get a closure on a case when they're not solving anything. I mean, 50% of murders in the U.S. are unsolved. That's insane. Like, if you kill somebody, there's like a 50% chance they're going to get you. And even then, they're probably, going to just arrest somebody who had nothing to do with it because they want to get that closure and show that their stats are really awesome. 1% of the adult population in the United States is incarcerated at any moment. 1%. 100. That's a wild number. Absolutely wild. So, no other nation has incarceration numbers like that. China incarcerates people for anything. You're gay, you're Muslim, you wrote a blog post, they're going to throw you in jail. And they don't have incarceration rates as high as we do. You can fart wrong in China and they'll throw you in jail, but we throw more people in jail. That tells us that we're doing something wrong as a society. We take crazy people, we throw them in jail. We take nonviolent drug offenders, we throw them in jail. We take people who are just the wrong color skin, the wrong place, wrong time, we throw them in jail. We need to minimize the amount of people we throw in jail. We need to make the level for prosecution be a much higher burden. And then maybe we'll start focusing on actual crimes. Like, we've got issues with community like mine. Like, I live in a wealthy, mostly white community. They don't like having crime statistics. So if the criminal is from the island, they're going to figure out a way to not arrest the guy. He could be beating the shit out of his wife. He could be driving drunk. He could be murdering people. Like, they're going to figure out how not to arrest him because they don't want it to look like we have crime on the island. But if somebody's visiting from out of town or driving through and they commit a crime, we will fuck your shit up. We will gladly arrest you all day because it wasn't one of ours who did it. It was some guy from Paulsbo. Fuck that guy. We'll arrest him all day long. So we end up being less safe as a community because of this need to keep our property taxes up there and home values. And if we have a high crime rate, people won't want to come live here and spend a bunch of money on a house. Meanwhile, you've got serial assaulters go around punching people in the face all the time, and then you tell them to go get a restraining order, so they get a restraining order, and then the guy violates the restraining order, and they don't do anything about it, because if you arrest him, like, they'll go against our stats. It's, I don't know, it's a broken system from the top down, and it needs a significant redesign in the end. Yeah. All right. Ted Bingham. Seems like rich people are mad we haven't had a crash yet of 20%. Algos won't stop growth. Seems like an actual crash will destroy everything if algos actually get pushed. Oh, yeah. I don't know if these algos are designed with the fail-safes for what's going to happen when we do get a big old flash crash. Copy paste. I was paying CNAs, certified nurses assistants, $30 an hour to staff a state-owned psychiatric hospital, and nobody would take the job. We closed 1,800 out of our 2,000 beds because of staffing. Yeah, that is a huge problem. This is also why, like, I don't think we should have necessarily large psychiatric hospitals. I think we should have community psychiatric hospitals, which is what Kennedy was trying to do. He just got passed through Congress right before he was assassinated, was this community-based mental health system. Because his sister was in and out of mental health programs, and she'd get sent off to a hospital that was like far away in the state, and it was hard for families to maintain connection with their loved ones because they were just one massive hospital. So the idea was basically you build a bed in every county for about 1 in every 300 people. Oh, the kitten's here. I'm going to totally forget what I'm doing. There's the kitten. Hi, buddy.
Hello.
Yes. Oh, we're talking about mental health. Well, we got a kitten here. So this is all the mental health I need right here. There's this little dude. Oh, there's a little snuggle bubble. Hello. Hello. Oh, you're such a little buddy. This cat you just hold her and she'll just sit like this for days. She's just such a little sweetheart. Oh, the purr machine's happening. Yes. Oh, just forget about our show. We got just a little snuggle bubble with a tiny little paws. Look at this little paws. Okay, so what we're talking about? Oh yeah, the idea by Kennedy was like each county in America would have about 1 mental health bed for every 300 to 500 people. And that way, if somebody did have a crisis or need permanent housing, etc., they were close to where they grew up or where their families were. And that's just a better system. Like, if you're having a mental episode and you feel completely abandoned away in a hospital and you have no access to people you love, that does not help with your mental health. So why not, like, oh, we can try to wiggle? You're going to wiggle? Oh, where's your little wiggle? Yeah? Look at you. So yeah, so they have these local community systems. Then he got assassinated and the whole program kind of fell apart and never got funded. And then Carter finally got the funding for it in 1980. And then who came in? Reagan. And Reagan canceled all the funding and then canceled not just all the funding for that new program, but canceled all the federal funding for all mental health hospitals across the United States. So states were suddenly forced to close hospitals everywhere, putting just hundreds of thousands of people onto the streets. Can you go over there? You can go on that? Go right there. There you go. Little kitten. Hi, buddy. Yeah? So, there we have it. Board Gamer Houston, with moon travel getting closer and closer to realization, what do you think will happen to those people who bought a piece of the moon from sites that sold those properties? I mean, most of them should probably, the seller should probably go to prison. It is technically illegal to own pieces of the moon. Every piece of the moon that's been brought back is owned by the federal government. But what happened was you had professors who were lent these objects. Say, like, University of Illinois, you had an astronomer who was lent these objects by NASA and used it in experimentations, and then got put in a safe or whatever, and the guy died, retired, etc. And it gets forgotten about. And someone opens up a drawer 20 years later and goes, "Holy shit! There's bits of moon in here. I can sell that crap for $1 million on eBay." And then they do. So that's all technically property of NASA. But yeah, if all of a sudden we start doing regular moon travel, the value will definitely drop. Although there will be, like, this piece was brought back by Apollo 11. that will have a much larger monkey. Don't be a dick. They'll have a much larger significance than like this is brought back by Chad during a 6-week stay mining on the moon for Megacorp. Like, okay, it's not quite as historic as like Buzz Aldrin held this. Don't be a dick to the kitten, monkey. You gotta be nice. It's just a little dude. It's just a little dude, a little dudette. Justin Stewart, any thoughts on earthing or grounding for humans, since we are basically just electrical impulse processed by our brains, science of hokey science? It's hokey science. I mean, it's very easy for us to ground. Just touch a doorknob, you're grounded. Like, ta-da! That's it. The whole like, gotta take your shoes off and like curl your toes in the grass. Do it if you want to. All you're doing at that point is just like getting hookworm and monkey. Don't be a dick. Hey, don't be a dick. Don't stalk the cat. Be nice. You're just doing like hokum placebo effect at that point. Yeah, walk around the grass feels great. Sure, it's like massaging your toes. I get it. But it's not like connecting you to the earth any more than touching a doorknob does. So do what makes you happy, I guess, but don't pretend like it's better than touching a doorknob. It's like, you guys ever heard of Moldavite? Moldavite is a really cool looking tektite. So tektites are, asteroid comes from outer space, crashes on the earth, splatters a bunch of molten material out, so because the earth gets compressed, superheated, and flashes into melt. It splashes all this melt out there, then refreezes and falls back to earth. Moldavite is a specific glass that came from sand in Bohemia. So this is green glass, flew into space when a meteor splashed down. Moldavite. It's cool looking, and as it splashed out and it refroze, it froze into oops, got to turn off the Google Earth. It froze into these like neat looking little splatter marks. Images. They're cool looking. They're really, really cool looking because they're flying into outer space and then falling back to the earth again. And not Etsy butthole. I want pictures. Oh, because the whole top row is that. And they're neat. I mean, just look at that thing. That's a cool looking green stone. It's green glass, right? And the people who sell Moldavite will tell you like, oh, this will like cure your cancer and do all sorts of things. The chemical properties of Moldavite are not different than like a Heineken bottle. So if you're buying this thing for its natural mystical properties, you might as well go in the recycling bin and get a Heineken bottle and slip that sucker under your pillow because it's the same thing. It's just quartz. Like my computer screen is quartz. That window is quartz. It just happens to be quartz. It's got a little bit of green pigmentation in it from, I can't remember if it's like vanadium or whatever, but that's all it is. It's just cool looking. Like it's a cool looking piece of Moldavite right there. Look at that thing. It's like a crazy little splatter marks. It's neat. It's been to space and back. It's got a cool story attached to it. But it's not magic or any more magic than your Heineken bottle. So, all right. Corey Ryder, the problem is privatizations and stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of things that should be done at cost and for the public benefit and not for profit. Like prisons. Prisons should be done at cost, should have programs to eliminate recidivism and, just throwing people away, like you're being punished, so they're going to be in this hellhole for a certain number of years. I get the drive for punishment. You got to put the kid in the corner and let them think about what they did. At the same time, you have to make sure that if you send the kid to the corner, that they can learn to do something differently so that they don't do it again, right? If you aren't giving them any other skills beyond acting out, this guy grew up on the streets. His school sucked. His parents were abusive. He had to join a gang because that was the only type of family he could find, the only way he could make money in that area that was completely devoid of commercial and industrial jobs. And he goes to prison, where he now meets a bank robber, a murderer, and a rapist. And they have to hang out with each other. And now he starts learning about the crimes these guys commit. That becomes his education, right? He's not going to prison to like work on the childhood trauma he experienced, or the fact that, you know, his community completely failed him because the community was given the assets by the larger government to make life better for those folks, or learning a skill. You're not learning the, you know, how to build wood or program computers or do anything else. So when he leaves prison, he has nothing except like, hey, I'm ex-con, no one wants to hire me, but now I have all these skills and I can rob banks because I just learned from that guy. Then you get into the problems of recidivism. And yeah, like even simple things like the power grid. The power grid should not be in private corporations' hands. It shouldn't. Just have public utilities that operate under guidelines of the government, that provide a service at cost, and whatever improvements have to be done over set periods of time. You know, tow it away the power lines. Like, hey, we know that after 80 years, the hooks on high tension power lines fail and they start fires in California. So we're gonna make a rule that every 60 years, you gotta replace every hook. So any hook that's 60 years old, you gotta replace it. Problem solved. You work that into your budget. It's not that hard to figure out like how to do these things. But private companies will go la 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 when it comes to doing maintenance, because they'd rather have a catastrophic effect and just let insurance take care of it than anything else. And that's no way to run a country. Chris Taylor, Deela, wink of an eye, Star Trek 1, hot. Droxine, the Cloud Miners, both from first Star Trek, both 70s, hot. Check them out, Houston Wade. Okay. All right. Bring that horny Star Trek back. Last night's episode of Lower Decks had a bit of horny Star Trek in there. I was like, oh, they were, they're like in like a sex dungeon where the pheromones make the men do whatever they want. Rad. Way to go. Bring a little horny Star Trek back. J-Dog, 709, no contest, like a fine wine. Jerry Hallwell's pretty hot. Tatiana Popova, hi, do you think we will see high inflation interest rate by the end of the decade? Thanks. What I think will happen is we'll continue to see inflation up until the market finally goes and shits the bed. Then we'll see unemployment happen, housing prices drop, oil will drop as well because people won't be traveling and, you know, moving as much product, and demand will kind of dry up. And then we'll see cuts in rates. Once we see demand dry up because the economy's crashing, then they'll start rate cutting. And when they start rate cutting, they'll be printing, and they'll print money, and we'll be back in the cycle we were, and we'll have another 8 years of growth before somebody fucks it all up and we crash again. That's just, you know, that's how it goes. So by the end of the decade, we might still be in that low rates growing the economy stage again. That's where I think we are. Is it building for ants? 654, Zelensky meets with Ackman, the head of Pershing Square Capital, Ken Griffin, CEO of Citadel, Jonathan Gray, CEO of Blackstone, Eric Schmidt, former CEO of Google, to raise money for Ukraine. What the fuck? Hasn't Ukraine suffered enough? Now these thieves are moving in. Exactly. These guys know that there's going to be a Marshall Plan for Ukraine that's going to involve hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars. It seems like a lot of countries that have seized Russian assets are starting to promise them for the rebuilding of Ukraine. And they're going to need a lot of rebuilding. There's a lot of seas that get replaced, a lot of highways get rebuilt, you know, demining of farm fields, etc. So there's going to be a lot of work that has to go into Ukraine, and it's probably going to cost trillions. So yeah, they want their piece of it, and that's why they're there. They're there to be like, oh yeah, let's win this war so we can rebuild your country for you. And Zelensky needs somebody to help him rebuild the country, and these guys have access to gajillions, so they're going to get their cut. That's how it's probably going to work. Ted Bingham, Houston, wasn't the end of the movie Trading Places them benefiting from insider trading, the very thing that made the Dukes rich? How are they any better? Yes. Like, if the guy who's up here does insider trading, screw that guy. But if an underdog does it and happens to win, well, that's just playing the game. It's sort of like you're just desserts in a way. I mean, there's that someone did some insane insider trading just yesterday or Wednesday when what was the company that oh my gosh. Cisco's buying another company for like $20 billion. They made the announcement on Thursday. Someone bought like $22,000 in calls at $4 a call and then sold them at $18.90 a call the next day. That was probably definitely insider trading. Somebody knew that was going to be announced and they went out and they spent every dime they had on these suckers and they made millions. How much did they make off of that? Let's just look at the calculator real quick. Scene, Chrome off, calculator. So, 22,000, oops, divided by 4. So they bought 5,500 calls. They made 1,890 off each one. 1,890. They made $10.3 million off that $22,000 investment. Pretty good returns, man. So, there probably were folks who were doing that with, Silicon Valley Bank. Because you could buy those puts that were, Silicon Valley Bank's trading at $350 or whatever. You buy puts at $250 for $1, and all of a sudden those things are worth $25,000 each. Oops. Like, you just made a huge, giant, huge thing. Like, if you're at the point where you need to make a run on your bank, you may as well take everything that bank has and put it into puts on that bank and just double your money. Like, if Bed Bath & Beyond becomes a winner, right? That the hunch gut hope about Bed Bath & Beyond emerging from bankruptcy with its equity holders intact like us, and is worth many dollars, and it flies to the moon and gets put back on the NASDAQ. If I can sell for a boatload, right, and it's back in the NASDAQ and the options chain reappears, I am definitely buying puts in that company because it's not going to stay at $1,000 a share. It's going to go right back down again because that's what happens after a squeeze. It drops. So make money on both sides of it. Why not? Seems like a no-brainer to me. So, yeah. But no, everyone should go to prison in trading spaces. It's just that, sometimes the underdog wins and you're like, hey, underdog, way to go. Jimmy D. I was an EMT for emergency ambulance company in LA and OC, and the psych facilities visited are nuts. A fucking Arkham Asylum in there. American system is set up to create Batman villains. And what should be the underlying thesis of Batman is the system is broken and creating these people. So Batman going and just beating the shit out of them is not making things better. Because the system just produces more. Arkham Asylum just produces more crazy people for Batman to go cathartically beat the shit out of. It's like if Bruce Wayne had spent his billions improving the lives of others as his father was doing before he was killed, then Gotham City would be a better place to live. It wouldn't be full of so many crazy madmen that Batman has to go beat the shit out of. I love you some Batman, but at the same time, he's just a functional sociopath, a high-functioning sociopath who doesn't actually have solutions to the city's problems. Don says, you're shading. I saw Dumb Money. I loved it. I think they went soft on Kenny, though. I still haven't seen it yet. Maybe this weekend. I said that last weekend, but then maybe this weekend. Jay, think about how long BBBY was on Reg Show. It was months. Yeah, it was 99 days or something, 98 days. So, yeah. Oh, I lost my spot. Lil Law, Houston, what company was shorting BBBYQ? Should I do puts on them if BBYQ says it's doing a merger? I don't know specifically who's in charge of shorting. Judging from the fact that Doug Sifu's having a meltdown on Twitter over Bed Bath & Beyond, makes me think the Virtue Capital was shorting them. So, you know, do with that what you will. Lucas Speed, he's got 50,000 BBYQ. Joshua's got 30,000. So yeah, we got some holders in here. We've got tens of thousands of shares each. So I don't think it's too much to expect that the average holder has around 5,000 shares or more. That's a $500 investment right now, $1,000 investment, a month ago. So that's not too much for lotto tickets on something like this. You're like, oh, I'll throw $1,000 at that, see where it goes. And there's a lot of huge holders. There's a lot of people. Seriously, there's people in this chat who have over 100,000 shares. I know. I've talking to you guys. So, let's get. I would love to have tens or hundreds or thousands of dollars a share on it, if it all works out and doesn't get wiped out of existence. Scott Paulin, if you ever wondered why the expert market exists, it's because there's no regulation in place to stop individuals from pouring their everything into a crapshoot or defunct company. I could be wrong about BYQ, and if so, I'll buy GME shares to repent. That's the excuse, is to keep those folks from sinking everything they have into it. But in reality, what was happening after 2021 was you had zombie stocks. You had Washington Mutual, you had Blockbuster, you had Lehman Brothers, all of a sudden spiking like 40,000% overnight, because people who shorted those stocks 15 years ago suddenly had to cover or close positions on these zombies. Like, if you allow retail to get in on that, then you're going to lose even more, because you're going to have FOMO. So you put things in the expert market to make FOMO not happen, so that you won't get the crazy spikes in price. Even then, you still have weird spikes. Sears still has weird spikes where it goes to like 25 cents for no reason, and on no news, and then goes right back down again. It's weird. It's weird. Weird stuff when you short way too many shares. Lee Meadows is here. Hey Lee. I hope your fundraiser's going well. I'll put the link in here again. Is this the one? Yes. So every time Lee shows up, we'll just remind everyone that he's trying to raise money for a mobility scooter. He got hit by a car and got real fucked up, and now needs a scooter to move around. So he needs 400 pounds for a used scooter, and he's at 120. So I'll throw the link into the chat again. If you can help him out, please do. Not being able to leave the house sucks, and having to borrow someone else's mobility scooter just to leave the house means that person can't leave the house. So help a brother out. Don C. Shadem, Scott, I bought a bunch of BBBYQ, but I share your skepticism. I got burned too hard in AMC to be optimistic. Plus, I found the community to be more rabid than the AMC apes. They're pretty rabid. So, if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. And that's just the only way I can treat it. Molly Colley, can I see your Peter? You make me hot. Well, Molly, no. you gotta join at the $10 million level of the OnlyFans, and you'll get to see my pecker wrecker right there. 64, Jack Smith adds war crimes prosecutor as deputy from The Hague to special counsel team via Politico. How important is this development? Not a clue. I don't know what war crimes they'll be investigating. I do think that there is an underlying investigation into the documents case out of Miami, which involves Trump taking documents, top secret documents that belong to, the government, and then when confronted about it, lied and then tried to hide them knowingly. They have video footage of him trying to hide them. They got people testifying that they were told to delete the video footage, etc. And then when they did a raid, they found the documents, and they still are missing some. So there's still some out there. And that, you know, the motive for why he kept those documents and then tried to hide them, that's probably what they're investigating. And all signs point to they sold documents to a nation like Saudi Arabia. So there's quid pro quo involved. Like, hey, we're Saudi Arabia. We hate Iran. Give us everything you have on Iran. And if you do, I'll invest $2 billion into Jared Kushner's fledgling hedge fund, and I'll make sure you get all the live golf tour stops at your resorts. And that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And so that right there is enough like motive for why to keep those things. Right now, the argument seems to be, I didn't take anything. It moved to, well, it was mine to begin with. Well, I didn't know I had it. To like, the goalposts get moved each time, and I wouldn't doubt if they've got investigators in there seeking out the true motive behind why that stuff was kept. And if it was a quid pro quo, like we show Saudi Arabia top secret documents, I get $2 billion from a hedge fund, that could be like death penalty type actions. So maybe that's why they got a head guy in there. Speculation. Total speculation on my part. Macaron after party. Is there a bear thesis of PP going to meet Pulte? Wouldn't make sense if he was going to become a multimillionaire after BBYQ explodes. I mean, the fact that Pulte jumps on board the PP show, so this will be like his third time being on the PP show. He knows exactly what the PP show is about. All they do is talk about Bed Bath & Beyond. Bed Bath & Beyond, Bed Bath & Beyond, Bed Bath & Beyond, Bed Bath & Beyond. That's all they talk about. And then Pulte, you know, does lots of like winks and a nudge when it comes to things like tweeting about babies and Ryan Cohen and ICANN and stuff like that. Now, he could be a completely deluded weirdo billionaire narcissist freak who is assuming the same weird things we are, or he could be a part of it. So I guess the bare thesis would be that he's a weirdo billionaire freak who has nothing to do with any of this, and he's just as excited as anybody else to have Bed Bath & Beyond emerge as a useful company, but he has no play into whether it does that or not. I guess that would be the bare thesis. On the other hand, maybe he is part of the financing behind this whole thing, and that he's become buds with ICANN and Cohen, and things are going to be awesome. I have no idea. But, Macaron after party, maybe perhaps Pulte is going to reimburse everyone's losses. When he does his little tweets like, hey, I'm sending out $1,000 right now. I'll be like, I invested in BBYQ and I lost everything. Send me $1,000. Who's messaging me? Why are people messaging me? But they know I'm doing a show. Okay, and so people on bed. Don says, shade him, Scott. I used to think people who said that were nuts. Now I'm pretty convinced that the hedge funds do want to prevent us from consolidating our power in GME. Oh man, you get a bunch of people suddenly flush with hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in cash from Bed Bath & Beyond exploding, right? Where are they going to put that money? GameStop. That's where they're going. They're just going to drop a bunch of cash into GameStop. And all of a sudden, we're going to be back to volatility again because the buying power will be back. People will have money again. So they definitely don't want any of these things to win on a mass scale on these meme stocks, because the minute you get cash, you're buying GameStop for the next run. That's it. You just want to avoid that. And, see where it goes. Downstairs Shade, my wife got charcoal sesame ice cream. I'm going to go try this stuff. See you later. That does not sound like a flavor combination I want to try, but good luck. Dave R. Bonnie Fife would do a better job than Gary Gensler, the cop on the beat. Probably. Citizen 54, what happens next if they screw us on the GME squeeze? Lawsuits mean nothing if the market is not allowed to be free. I mean, you have to see what happens with it. I think the best thing and simplest thing GME can do is probably after quarter 4 results, announce a dividend. If you announce a dividend, suddenly the stock is treated on its merits and not speculation. And speculative price can go anywhere and people can make all sorts of claims. But if you're offering, 50 cents a quarter, $1 a quarter, whatever, then that sets a standard for what the value of your stock will be versus someday it will be something. And then I'm trading on that speculation. You'd rather have like a guarantee out of that stock than anything else. Cat, what's up? Come here, you big giant. Oh my God, you're so much heavier than that kitten. You're such a tub. You're such a tub. You are. You're just a big fat cat. Oh, all right, can't waste the last 2 minutes of the show petting the cat. Kevin Randon, happy birthday. My girlfriend Robin is getting over COVID. Could you give her a get well shout out, please? Thank you so much. Let's go BBBYQ. Robin, get well soon. Be better. Be better in health. I mean, not like us. I don't know how you are as a human being. But also be a better human being. I don't know. Yeah, COVID sucks. And it's going around. 1 in 51 people are currently infected with COVID in the United States, according to the metadata from waste treatment facilities. So it's everywhere. People are getting like crazy. If you think you got a cold or something, stay home. Don't go out and spread it. Wear your mask if you do have to go out. Get your updated COVID vaccine. I'm getting mine next Wednesday. So, I don't know, maybe I'll be sleepy for next Wednesday's show. We're going to be having a guest on next Wednesday. He's a real estate guy from here in Seattle. I don't know if we'll be live or if we'll record it. He may want recorded and not a live show. So we'll see where it goes. I'm still figuring out exactly what we're going to talk about. It'll probably be me pointing out real estate's going to crash and him being like, no, it's a great time to invest. But we'll see where that goes. I got time for one more here. Let's, what we got? Chris Taylor, please tell me a geology story so I can get the OnlyFans vision out of my mind. Diamonds were discovered in South Africa when a little boy kicked a 16-karat diamond through the storefront window of a jeweler. That's how diamonds were discovered in South Africa. So before that, people didn't know there were diamonds there. And this little boy was kicking a rock and he kicked it and went through the window of a store. And that guy was like, this is a giant diamond. And thus, the Kimberley diamond boom began. So, there you go. All right, Fat Cat. Does it go time for us? I think so. Gotta get going. Hopefully I'll do let's say OnlyFans, but no, Twitch. We're going to do a Twitch, not OnlyFans this weekend. And maybe we'll see you there. All right. Boing. Ready? Are you ready? Oh, kitty nipples. Look at all those nipples.